Hello. How was everybody feeling?
Good.
You know what? It's so interesting. You'll have a hip hop house. This is a hip hop house, right?
Yes.
This is hip hop was born in the goddamn Bronx. Right? There's no hip hop house in the Bronx. None. There's a museum that we actually did a little something, but and I don't think it's even finished construction yet. And I don't know what the tie-up is. I don't know what the problem is, but hip hop is not being respected in the place where it was born, but it's respected all over the planet. And I just want to say that I'm proud of you all for just keeping, because it is a culture that actually empowers young people everywhere on the planet, which means that everywhere I've been, there are niggas all over the world. I mean, the term nigga has become so popular. I remember when Babatuni and I were in Rome, outside of our hotel, there were a bunch of white boys that were saying, yo, nigga, pass the joint. And I'm saying, damn, everybody's a nigga now. And I've come to recognize also that everything evolves. And I don't know if you'll know the beginning of the origin of the word nigga, but I'm gonna tell you right now what it was. Back during slavery, the white man that was running the whole concept of the plantation decided he wanted to have an animal to help the slaves plow the fields. So he put together the sperm of a horse with a donkey to create a mule. You'll know that, right? If you didn't know that, now you know it, okay? Spike Lee, who is a filmmaker, calls his film company 40 Acres and a Mule. A mule is an animal that cannot reproduce itself. It's a hybrid, it's a mutt, it cannot reproduce itself. Now, they had a nickname for the horse, but they didn't have a nickname for this new animal called a mule. So they called that animal a nigger. I want you all to follow this because nobody seems to know this. And I don't know how come I have all this fucking information and nobody else has it. But I have the information, so I'm gonna share it. So a mule, the nigger was a mule. Massacre say, I want two niggas in front of the barn at 6 a.m. One could be a black man on 2 legs, and the other could be a mule on 4 legs. And how that happened to be consistent was the fact that both of those particular beings were property of the master. And now we're taking the word nigga, and back in the day, if we say, yo, I hate that nigga. Nigga was a bad word. You could actually have a fight over somebody calling you a nigga. But like everything else, nigga has evolved. Now the nigga represents the rebel, the person that's not gonna take shit. The person who's not gonna be abiding with the system. The person that's going to be totally in disagreement with whatever the system is that they're trying to represent. But the real biggest nigga of all that we're ever going to see right now is a character named Donald Trump. He is the super nigga. No, he is a super nigga. Somebody should write it up. Donald Trump is a super nigga. Because he does not give a fuck about anybody or anything. And that's the original nigga. He doesn't, the Constitution's a piece of shit to him. The Democratic Party was a bunch of clowns. They're Keystone Cops. Even his Republican Party, he punks everybody. And I mean, I can't stand him, but in a way, there's a part of me that likes him because he's a real super nigga. And he's fucking up. And niggas usually do stuff that's going to be self-destructive. He is shooting himself in the face. All you got to do is get your raisins and popcorn and watch the circus. It's going to be hellacious. It's going to be interesting. All right.
What an introduction. Welcome, you guys. I want to thank you. Glad to be back. Glad that you guys are back. I want to thank you guys for coming here and making a stop before going to Amsterdam and visiting the folks in Rotterdam. Welcome to the Hiphophuis. Like you said, hip hop was born in the Bronx.
Yes.
And I think you guys carry it with you wherever you go. And this is an amazing time for us to be alive to see the shit show, right?
Yeah, well, you know, I had a chance to talk to Kool Herc and Africa Mbata. And I refer to both of them, you know, familiar with those guys? Well, Kool Herc and Africa Mbata, as far as I'm concerned, would be considered the architects of hip hop. And we were at a conference that they had in Trinity College in Hartford, Connecticut. And Kool Herc told me, he said, the only thing that they had to listen to that made sense in 1970 was The Last Poets. Because there had been no album, there was no one who had put on wax what we did at that time. And I want to say this to make it clear. Garland Kane, who actually lived in Amsterdam for 40 years, he passed away about a year and a half ago. He was actually the artistic. When Felipe Luciano and I were in the group, I always said the best group of Last Poets was Garland Kane, Felipe, and myself. Garland Kane was special. And I remember when we first started The Last Poets, he said, we're never going to record. The minute we record, we'll be in the bucket of shit with the rest of those silly motherfuckers. And I wasn't trying to be a recording artist. I wanted to be a revolutionary. Felipe came into the group with that revolutionary understanding. Matter of fact, he was so revolutionary until the first poem he wrote was called Faces in the Forest. I never forget it. And because I told him, I said, Felipe, if you're gonna be in the group, you gotta write your own shit. You can't do somebody else's stuff, you gotta write your own. So he's real smart. So he wrote a poem called Faces in the Forest. I read this, I said, Felipe, this is New York City. This is not Havana, Cuba. I mean, you got bars in Cuba. They ain't got no bars in New York. You got Central Bar. But he heard me and came back and wrote a poem called Hey Now, where he had all the gangs coming together to fuck up the cops. It was a monster. And he was in the group, the strongest group we had. But the fact is that that first recording that we did that caused so much uproar came about because Kane went down to the village, he left. Felipe, he created an organization some of you might recall or might not know called the Young Lords. Young Lords like a Puerto Rican Black Panther organization. They were taking shit over, taking churches over, cleaning up his community, which was called El Barrio. And he was dedicated to doing that. And then another thing that I have to say about him, even though he's sitting right here, I don't know anyone who could break down, and he'll probably give you an example of that when he talks, he could break down all the political sciences better than any professor I've ever heard. You want to know what socialism is? He will tell you. You want to know what capitalism is? He will tell you. Communism, he could break it down. Students used to come from City College after all day being in school, come to the East Wing and stay until 12 o'clock just to hear him break down those sciences. He was absolutely brilliant. I would learn from him, and we understood. But then after he left and Kane left, the brothers that were organized in the group said, listen, we've got to record. And then we recorded the first album, which everybody knows, of course. It was the Niggas Who Scared of Revolution, New York, all that stuff. And it became a real serious, it became a piece, it became something that made us last, I guess, forever. And I'm grateful for that. But that was what was Kool Herc and Africa Mbata and all those guys were listening to, and from that, hip-hop was born.
Wow, that's amazing. Because you guys have been an inspiration for many and still are an inspiration for many. And it was about 20 years ago when you were here last, right?
Yeah.
For Christine Otten's book, The Last Dichters, The Last Poets, and you toured the Netherlands.
Be nice.
That book is fictitious, y'all.
Yeah. Be nice.
I cannot endorse that book because it's a fictitious book. I mean, she's made it a novel. It's not really a biography. Christine Otten is all right. I mean, I don't want to just blast her, but she came to New York City and she talked to, I guess, she spoke to Felipe, she spoke to me. She wanted to talk to my mother. I didn't let her talk to my mother, but anyway, she did a thorough research and she did this book, and she's become rather famous from doing this book about the poets. And she really leaned on Umar because she and Umar became very close. And then Umar's sister visited her in Michigan, and they were back and forth. And she was with me the day that, I know you know about the planes running into the buildings in New York City. And there was a big thing about that. Matter of fact, I remember when they put on the TV, America declares war against terrorism. And I had a bunch of clothes over my house, and I said, ooh, that's interesting. America's declaring war against itself. There's no greater terrorist on the planet than America. But yet everybody else is a terrorist. So I wrote a piece called Reign of Terror, which tells you who the real terrorist is. And black people know that we've been terrorized from day one. But Christy was there and she started crying. I said, Christy, why are you crying? No, it was the first time I've been in America and they blew up the buildings up. I said, did you have something to do with that? No. I said, what the fuck are you crying about? I said, this is New York, shit happens here. I said, goddamn. So I gave her a box of Kleenex. You know, wipe the damn eyes and blow that snot your nose. I mean, but she is a person that just wanted to be involved with something that she didn't even know about. And I appreciate her as a person, but I didn't appreciate the fact that she had a slanted concept of what the last book was all about. And consequently, she did a novel. It's a novel, you can read it like The Three Musketeers. I mean, it's not who we really are. She confused facts that were given to her, and it's a novel. That's all I can say. It's nothing to take seriously.
I'm sorry.
No. I wanted to give you.
Every 70 to 80 years, Western Europe and the United States flirt with fascism. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's a gene. I don't know if it's they're sick and tired of democracy, or they're sick and tired of black people moving around, but they flirt with it. In the United States, we had Nazis in the White House. In the United States, we had Nazis major parades in New York City. And now we're flirting around with it in Germany, in Hungary, and all of the other stuff. Fascism is serious, folks. You have not experienced it, neither have I. I was born in 1947. But all of the people that I speak to, Jewish people who were enslaved, black people who were killed, it was a serious thing. What I'm suggesting to you, and this is just a suggestion, loving hip-hop is wonderful. Creating hip-hop is wonderful. But if you're not doing shit, if you're not working toward the emancipation of man and helping your nation grow to another level, it doesn't have to be the United States. It can be, if you're not doing anything, then it's all for naught. We have loads of people who are charlatans. You have black charlatans, you have white charlatans, you have Puerto Rican charlatans. You've got to do something. What are you doing? How are you raising your children? Are you educating? Are you in schools? Are you teaching? That's what we need. It's not important for me to talk to you. Those kids out there. We had a driver with us who we just left, a wonderful guy. And he had his son come with us. And his son listened. The children are the answer. I feel sorry for the world in 20 years because those kids in Gaza, whose grandmothers, whose fathers, whose mothers were killed, you talk about terrorism? Can you imagine the trauma of seeing your grandmother blown up in a building? Again and again and again, I'm telling you, I predict there will be a major explosion in this world. And it won't come from, it'll come from people from the Middle East who say, we've had it. That's it. No one can beat a tribe or a nation that is not afraid to die. They're not afraid to die. We did that in the Young Lords. I remember we took over a hospital. In New York, everything is funded by the government. And they said, you got to get out of here. It's funded by the government. I know what they were afraid of. They were afraid we were going to take over a police station. And we were thinking about it, by the way. Folks, when you're not afraid to die, now, I'm not suggesting this for people who have children who have already lived and have marriages. That state of mind is such that nothing can scare you. Nothing. And it doesn't matter whether you wear a tie, it doesn't matter whether you wear a turtleneck. I don't give a fuck. Come get me, because I'm going to get you. Folks, it's time for you to decide what you want to do with your life. I love that you love hip hop. This is beautiful. I hope we can do this in New York. But I'm telling you, it's not the poetry. It's what the poetry can do to impact lives. Spouting the poetry is cute, it's wonderful, but what are you doing? Are you in the schools? Are you in the churches? I know a lot of you don't want to. Are you in the churches trying to tell the pastors, oh, I'm not sure what you're saying is right? Are you debating? There should be corners here where people debate politics and talk about what's really going on. It's time. This world is coming down. The American empire is dying. It's dying. We will not have the comforts of civility that you have today. This gentleman is a brute. Trump is a brute. I believe that he has never had his ass kicked. Do you know what I mean? In New York, you can tell a warrior from a non-warrior by the fact that they're a little more humble than the guys, because they've had their ass kicked. I've got my ass kicked a few times, and I've had to tell them, I don't want to fight anymore. That's it. It hurts. You need to understand what's happening out here. And so that the children, and our job is to protect them and move them forward, the children can understand what revolutionary spirit is. Do you think the first intifada was done because people didn't want to die? That thing was, we're dying already. We're already dying. So we don't give a shit. And for rocks, they got bullets. 50,000 died in the first assault on Gaza. We're living in a world where we're actually seeing World War II again. We're seeing, the Jews were saying, the Jewish people in Germany were saying, we are dying here, we need your help. Nobody responded. Nobody responded. In fact, they had a ship called the St. Louis to come to New York, and we rejected them. And they went back and died. You are living with people dying in Gaza, and we're responsible for it because we have a president who actually gave them the guns to do it, gave them the bombs. What would happen if they decided to get rid of black people in right here, in Rotterdam? What if they decided to say, I don't care if you were born here or not, you're not a citizen. They're doing that in the United States now. They're trying to say that even if you were born, if you're of color, you gotta go. This is scary stuff. These are scary times. I don't want to say this in order to immobilize you. I'd like you to understand the anger and the rage. And the rage has to be controlled. That nonsense, it's not happening. It has to be a controlled rage, because that's what revolution is about. So I ask that you think about it.
Can I ask you something?
Yeah.
Because we are living in parallel times. If you think back, you're basically saying what happened then is happening now, just to different people.
Yes.
And there's a lot of people that show their solidarity by wearing a pin or posting on social media. What does solidarity really look like? What does coming together and taking action, basically, what does it look like in these times?
It means communicating with fellow revolutionaries, with fellow advocates. Revolution is a task that I do not wish on anybody. Living underground, I've had to, getting beaten, I've gone through that. It's not something I advocate for any of you. But the thought process, you can't kill the mind. The thought process is where it's at. And so those of you who are serious about changing the world need to start communicating with people across the pond. We communicate with you, you communicate with us, so that there's no separation of intent, no separation of ideology, no separation of passion. The problem is that we're working in separate camps. So we were in Ghent, and people wouldn't even talk to me. Now, I'm Puerto Rican. I don't know how many of you know about Latinos, but we talk to everybody. We kiss everybody. We hug it. They wouldn't even look at me. I said, what the fuck is this? What's going on here? I would have to stand in their face and I said hello. And then they would think I was being aggressive. Folks, the only way we're going to make this happen is first of all through the arts. Art is the spear tip of revolution. It's not the fighting. Art is the spear tip. When they're going to start busting poets soon, Abiel Doom, he says some stuff here that I'm positive the CIA has already caught on to, and we got to be careful that they don't take him. That's how serious it gets. And if they do, don't go to my house. I have guys who go to jail for murder, and then they call me, no, I didn't kill that nigga. Hey, don't hang up the phone. Because I know they're tapping my phone. Folks, communication is the most, communication and communion. And communion. We need to love each other in a way that says, how can I help you become a better you? It happens with women, it happens with men, it happens with kids. So if we stay in communication, we will never be ignorant. Do you know that one of the problems with movements, Lao Tzu says that, find out what your enemy, he's a Chinese philosopher, find out, before you start war, find out what your weaknesses are. What is it about you that can get you hurt? Find out what do you do that is not cool? And then look at your enemy's weaknesses and strengths, and then you attack. And when they attack, you withdraw, as Mao Zedong says. And when they withdraw, you attack. You need to be aware of what this is. If I were here, I'd be looking at every street. I'd be watching every street. In fact, let me tell you how ridiculous the New York scene is. We were sitting in a restaurant last night, and some cars were slowly passing. And I was thinking, oh shit, are they going to shoot? What's going on? They were not going to shoot. But that's my reaction to everything. And so I'm learning to calm down now, at the age of 77, to calm down. I love you, but I want you to live, and I want you to live to fight. And please educate the babies.
Thank you. So we had an idea to have everybody introduce themselves. We don't have time for that. We are here with a bunch of poets, musicians, music lovers, educators, media people who in their way try to give shape to that thing called revolution.
Tanya, can you have a few of them introduce themselves to us?
Definitely.
A few, pick them out.
Gary Mendez started out as an MC, theater creative, musician, and in love with the arts.
Good. Anybody else?
Ras?
Raskin.
What's your name?
Raskin.
Raske.
My artist name, but the way.
What is your real name?
Sharendo.
Sharendo. Are you from Cape Verde?
No, I'm from Suriname. My parents are from
Suriname.
Suriname.
Okay.
I'm from here, and originally a reggae artist, producer, program creator, just a humble servant of the revolution.
Okay.
Yes.
Raske. Okay. Anybody else?
How many people have a cell phone?
Everybody.
Right. How many people take pictures of movies?
Everybody.
Everybody. So everybody here is a director.
Speak on it.
So in terms of what we need to do, because like they talk about reinstituting segregation. I said, well, bring it on. That's fine with me. I don't want to eat your food anyway. I don't want to buy your shit anyway. So I'm good with that. You're not going to be good with it when you find out what's going to happen. But we can all use art form, our ideas of art to create protests with our own devices. And we flood the market. I mean, we can flood the market with sex. We can flood the market with revolution. So, and it's good for the children because they're brand new. So they're going to find out, and for you, because a lot of us thought that everything was okay. Everything is good. We good. I got money. I'm good. I got money. I'm good. And then what happened to, what's his name? P. Diddy. He got $50 million. He couldn't even get out of jail with that. And I know he had more money than that. He's a billionaire. So this $50 million didn't mean shit. So, I mean, so money is not the motivating factor to be up, and, you're not gonna be accepted by a certain group because they just don't like you. Period, and I mean, your economics is not gonna make a difference. But who cares? What we need to do is worry about ourselves, develop ourselves, we would do it, and protect ourselves, from the onslaught. Because then when they see that you're doing well, then all of a sudden, shit starts to happen, So they're running in stupidity right now. So I've used that stupidity because it's going to be very obvious. It's obvious now. And I'm like certain people in the media, I don't have conversations with them anymore. We did it, we're done. And you want to stay stupid, that's okay with me. But we can't afford to do that. A lot of us that voted in America, some of us voted for that clown, and thinking that they're going to be part of the establishment. Well, they didn't get any hired. Did they get hired in the cabinet? How many black people in the cabinet? Maybe one. And he was even a loudmouth. So anyway.
It's very, very important that we recognize it may not be as simple as I'm going to say it, but this is what we really have to do. We are plugged into a system that has never really been plugged into us. We're supporting folks that don't support us. And we can end that whole situation by simply unplugging our cords out of their sockets and plug into each other. Marcus Garvey talked about it when people say buy black and people get into slogans, but the reality is if we plug in, like you have a hip hop house here. You all are into each other, and this is beautiful. I'm loving this. Support each other. If somebody is knitting little doll hats, buy them. Whatever they do, whatever we're doing, support each other. Love each other. Work together. Stop looking forward to somebody who is using you to build up their bank to help you out. They're not going to do that. We are fodder. We are fertilizer for the rich people. Donald fucking Trump has made it quite clear the haves should have and the have-nots should continue to have not. It's a clear war. It's not rocket science. The 1% rich people in America, he's brought them all together. They're sitting on his cabinet, and they're making decisions, and he's firing people who live from paycheck to paycheck. He's firing them. He is giving them a pink slip.
Across the board, not just black people, white people, people who voted for him.
People who voted for him. And at the same time now, he's also trying to erase whatever contributions black folks have made in America, like they want to erase all of the things that Jackie Robinson did after he crossed the line from the Negro League into the major leagues. What are you talking about? Because every year when Jackie Robinson's birthday comes, all of the major league players wear number 42 on their jersey to pay respect for this black man that broke into the major leagues. Trump says, the hell with that. Biden gave America a couple years ago, he created a holiday called Juneteenth. Juneteenth is a brand new holiday in America. That's supposed to honor the fact that there were some people in Texas who did not tell black folks they were free until 2 years later. So they found out that they were free, and they said, what? We were working for 2 extra years and we didn't know it? And so Biden says, well, we're gonna have this special holiday for you guys where you can just have a holiday that's gonna be federally funded and you can stay home and celebrate the fact that you are finally free. Trump is going to kill that. He's gonna wipe that shit. Fuck Juneteenth. You know what? Trump is pushing, he's poking the bear. And he doesn't realize that when you keep on fucking with people who have power, and we got power, no, we don't have no nuclear bomb. No, we ain't got no atomic bomb. We have a spiritual content that they cannot touch. The soul of us, of each and every one of those sitting here. I don't care, if you come to this circle, you have a soul. There's something in you that says, this is the comfort zone for my experience in life. And I'm happy and proud of you for that. It's the soul that has much more power than any fucking books they could ever create. Our spiritual excellence will take us to the next level.
And you can't get jaded. Folks, be careful.
The fact of the matter is that Three Bay is constantly on the edge dealing with the military aspect and the fact that we have to be prepared to go underground and fight and all. Yes, but the real deal is that there will be no fighting if we are spiritually connected with each other. We could blink and this guy will shoot himself in the head. We have the power to change whatever we want as long as we believe in each other. The belief system and the power of the spirit is much stronger than anything from the flesh. We must realize that, recognize what has kept us here all these years. African American people shouldn't even exist. Not only do we exist, we have multiplied. To be honest, America, white folks might be the minority in America.
They are already.
And that upsets them. You can't watch a football game without watching a whole bunch of black folks running up and down the field. Can't watch a basketball game. If you're gonna watch baseball, you're gonna look at a bunch of Dominicans, and they just happen to be black folks speaking Spanish. Somebody asked me, said, man, you ain't got no African Americans in baseball. I said, what the fuck is a Dominican? Don't get it confused because he's speaking Spanish. That's a brother. We have turned the tide. The contributions that we have made to America, they don't want people to know about it. I mean, everybody here knows about doors have doorknobs, right? Does anybody here realize that was a black man at 17 years old who created a doorknob? A black kid decided that, I think a door should have a fucking knob. His name is Dorsey. Look him up. A black person created a cell phone.
Street lamps, traffic lights.
The elevator.
Lights, elevators.
We can go on and on and on. They did not understand something. They did not bring slaves from Africa. They brought architects and engineers and inventors.
And soldiers.
And they brought people to America for one reason, to raise America. To raise the children, to teach them how to be civilized. And the beat goes on. And unfortunately, Felipe and Batunde, we know black folks who feel obligated. They feel like, I still got to breastfeed this little bitch. And we're willing to take our breast out and stick it in his mouth and say, feed, daddy. Take as much milk as you want. Well, we're giving up the titty, and they love it. Trump looks for, like Felipe said, Trump ain't never been punched in the mouth. No, he ain't been punched in the mouth. But he's going to hurt himself because now he's stepping on people who voted him because he's got this whole platform of white supremacy. Anytime you want to produce yourself or present yourself as being supreme to somebody else, what does it tell you? You must be a weak motherfucker. It's an automatic setup. You're a sap. You don't preach that you're superior to anybody. You be natural. If I'm Superman and I can lift up a motherfucking ton of bricks without any struggle, I don't have to tell you I'm Superman. I do what I do, and you say, God damn, that motherfucker's super. But I'm boasting, I'm bragging, I'm advertising. I'm the one. I can make this happen. You're full of shit. And he's got people believing in his bullshit.
You know what the Italians used to tell me, the mob guys? Less is more. Shut your fucking mouth. They used to tell me, Filippo, you talk too much. I got thrown out of a job because of that. I was security for a big guy. You talk too much. Talk less, do more. Organize, as Kwame Ture, Stokely Carmichael used to say. There's no substitute for organization. And here's the formula that I've used. Hilo, we call it, thread in Spanish. Hilo is thread. Ideology, what do you really believe in? some of us here really, we like the politics, but we really want to make a lot of money. Be honest about it. If you want to be a captain, be honest. But give some of that money to the people who are struggling. Be honest. The second one is L, leadership. We get leaders and we talk about them. We kill more people through gossip than anybody I know. Oh, she ain't shit. She thinks she's all of that. Fuck her. She ain't doing nothing. Leadership. Mao Zedong lost more battles than he won. And in Cuba, there were so many different groups. But Fidel said, give it time. Che would go around saying, let me just kill this motherfucker. No, just give it time. And in 1959, they took over Cuba. Now, the problem that we're having now is what I call left-wing fascism. Be careful. Don't force people who don't believe what you believe to believe. Man, you ain't shit. Be careful with that. Because that person can become a convert. We take these things and we pound people. If you are a churchgoer, that's okay. If you believe in Jesus Christ as your person, that's okay. If you believe in Allah and the Honorable Elijah Muhammad or whatever, whatever it is, if you have a belief system, that's cool. Just remember that politics demands that you move forward, So I don't care if you go to a cathedral, I don't care if you go to a masjid, I don't care if you go to a synagogue, it's all about unity. Again, leadership, ideology, leadership, and the last thing is organization. You need an organization. And this is starting. This is the start of it. Nothing works without organization. Also, can I have people stand up for a minute? Everybody stand up for a minute. Everybody stand up. Raise your hands up like this. We do this in martial arts. Bend your knees. Right? Breathe in. And out. Push out. Breathe in. And out. One more time. Breathe in. And everybody smile. Let me see everybody smile. Let me see your teeth. Because this is not a funeral. This is a birthday celebration. Okay? God bless all of you.
So as you could all imagine, touring with these brothers is living under a tree, right? Learning the wisdom of it all, right? I'm in the fruit of the seeds, but I'll put some context in the road that led me to this place I'm here, in this legacy. You know, May 19th it was, 1968.
Yep.
That was the first
That was
gig
when we
at
got together.
Mount Morris Park.
Mount Morris Park, which is renamed Marcus Garvey Park.
Which is now Marcus Garvey Park. So May 19th, 1968. And 9 months later, March 8th, 1969, I was born. And they created a roadmap and a lane that I would eventually discover. And I bring that point up because by 14 is the first time I heard niggas are scared of revolution. I was about 14. Actually, I started smoking weed at 13, so like 14, I was in the back of the car with my uncle, blazing the L, listening to when and it
Fucked you up forever.
fucked me up. Would have never dreamt that I'd be here in Rotterdam at Hiphophuis with the last poets, right? But I'm saying all that to say this culture, right? This thing that we're going through, this struggle, this conflict we're in, that it's important to find your voice and your role in the lane.
Yes.
That best reflects your contribution to this. We're not all going to be out there sharpshooting. We're just not. But we will be here in these houses, in these spaces, celebrating, elevating, and living in the culture. I'm living proof that this culture matters, that it creates a new generation. Each generation is influenced by it. It lives. It's alive. It's not an academic exercise. And people ask me, well, what do you do? Well, should I get in front of people and tell them my truth? That's what I do on a daily basis. And I get to learn and have that truth affirmed from those who came before me. and who have accepted me, validated me, and now celebrate my voice along with them. This is an important process. This is a living culture and a living struggle. And I'll say that to put it in perspective.
Well, we're in a culture of promoting blackness. I mean, like, you got hip hop, you got jazz, we got all the, you come to West Africa, you hear hip hop. You go to Russia, you hear hip hop. You hear all this blackness, and that's what this is about. Blackness to me is not just African American. It's blackness is everybody. It's Africa. It's all the influence of Haitian music, or the influence of music from Ethiopia, all the different places where you have India, you have that music coming at the soul, the feeling of the spirit, and that comes from blackness. And that's, we celebrate that. I celebrate it within multicultures, so it's just like, so I look at a person from India, I see blackness. I see a person from Uzbekistan, somewhere, I see blackness. So I mean, you talk about ethnic cultures, you talk about blackness. Maybe blackness is just not the word, it's not for the color. It's for the
Spirit.
The spirit.
Let me say this, we had, Baba Tunde and I, and Umar had the pleasure of being in Rotterdam a few years ago. And we did a big concert here, and it was based on an album that we did called Understand What Black Is. And what he's saying, I just want to echo exactly what he's saying. I said, black is not a color. It is a source of all colors.
Sure.
Black is not a complexion. It is a reflection of all complexions called human. Every one of us comes out of a black hole. We all come out of blackness. Don't get it confused. Color is superficial. Blackness is the depth of life itself. From blackness comes the light. Each one of you are products of blackness, therefore you carry a light so that your blackness will shine. Let me say it again. I want you to get this. Each one of you come from blackness, and you carry the light so that your blackness will shine. Your blackness is what Baba Tunde just said, your humanity. The war that we're fighting, what we're talking about, what Felipe is talking about, it's humanity versus inhumanity. We have got a whole system right now that's trying to prepare you to join and be a part of AI, artificial intelligence. You can't write the song, so you ask AI to write it for you. That's fucked up. You can't do a painting, so you ask AI to paint it for you. That's fucked up too. There's gonna be a situation where you can't fuck no more, and you'll say, AI, can you fuck this bitch for me? And he'll find a way to fuck the bitch for you. And she may even like it. And she may love AI more than she likes you. We are dealing in a very superficial world, where superficialities are going to become realities that many of us will not be able to escape from. We will actually become slaves to the superficialness that this character is creating. We are in this is a pivotal time. And we're talking about climate change. I want you all to recognize, when they talk about climate change, they're not just talking about the weather outside, they're talking about the weather inside. You are elements of life. And your climate inside is just as vital as the climate outside. The rage that you feel, all these things have to be dealt with. It's nice to talk about revolution and change, but you first have to recognize you must change yourself. And that's the basic substance of everything. Learn how to be good to yourself, feel good about yourself, and share the goodness that you have within yourself with those around you. That's the revolution. All this other jargon and talk about ideology, that's fine and dandy. But the reality is that each one of us has to take a personal stand in how we're going to create the new world we like to see. America would be a paradise if the motherfuckers off the Mayflower came in there feeling good about themselves. They got off the boat feeling like shit. And Native Americans didn't greet them with bows and arrows. Native Americans said, ooh, we got visitors. And they stood at the shore waiting for them to come with gifts, open arms. And they came with guns and fucked them up. Had bad intentions. We are people who love. We're not militant. We don't want to shed blood. We want to spread joy. I know that. I can look at your face and tell that. You're not evil. They have a doctrine. They have the social sciences in America, and anyone who's ever taken a behavioral science class knows this. They say man is born inherently evil. Who the fuck are you talking about? You're not talking about me or my people. If that's the case, America would have been knee deep in blood a long time ago. We are lovers. Love has always been our motivation. The only reason why Felipe is here and I'm here in the Baba and Sharif, because we love our people and we love ourselves. Why we like hip hop? Because hip hop is about love. Why was Motown so important? It was about love. Recognize what our strength is. It's in love. And if you're not loving, you're dead. We have so much to do, but we must start with ourselves. We have to go back, way back. What was inscripted on all the pyramids? Know thyself. Thank you.
There's a misconception about revolutionary struggle. And the misconception is that you have to be strong and loud-voiced and be able to shoot well and all of that stuff. Che Guevara said, at the risk of sounding ridiculous, a true revolutionary is guided by feelings of love. And in the end, that's what counts. It really is. I didn't start the Young Lords because I wanted to be a tough guy. I had just come out of jail. But I started it because I saw so many older people who were suffering. And I said, we got to do something. So when we started, we asked the elders, what do you need? Good point for you. What do you need? Hip-hop cannot be exclusive. What do you need? And they said, we need the garbage done. And I said, that's it. I told my fellas, that's it, I quit. I'm out of here. I thought they were going to tell me, take a 30-06 and go on the roof. No. We need you to help deal with the garbage. And that's what we did. And it became one of the most famous garbage strikes, garbage pickups in the history of the United States, of the history of New York. Then we asked them, what is another thing you need? They said, we need health care. Do you understand what I'm saying? Simple, basic disciplines and services that you need to do for people. You need to serve people.
That's right.
So my thing, and I was raised Pentecostal, and sometimes I got to be careful with this because I think doing this right. You got to take care of yourself, first of all. Do not compare yourself to anybody. Somebody else may be louder, somebody else may be, you know what you can do. And be with people who fixate themselves on making you the better person. Some of us have friends and lovers who put us down. That can kill you. Takes your spirit away. Girl, you ain't shit. Boy, you ain't shit. Do you need people like that around you? It's difficult being alone, but I'd rather be alone than badly accompanied. It says in the Bible, mejor solo que mal acompañado. In other words, better to be alone than with someone who is constantly putting you down. Self-esteem is important. Learn to love yourselves. Now, I know we come from parents my mother was a trip. My mother was manic depressive. She used to beat me all the time. No wonder when the cops were beating me, I didn't stay down. They say, stay down, boy. I didn't stay down. I kept on getting up. Smiling. Open your heart to the spirits. I call it God. Open your heart so that you can receive everyone. Because revolution is about inclusion. It's not about exclusion. It's inclusion. And I will say this. In the end, if it comes down to it, what are you willing to do? Anybody ever see the movie The Untouchables? with Kevin Costner and Sean Connery? Has anyone ever seen people? He's a cop. And when he's dying, he says to the guy, because Al Capone was in charge of Chicago, what are you willing to sacrifice? You guys have, men and women have to be honest about what are you willing to sacrifice? If you're not, go as far as you can go, what are you willing to sacrifice to make this nation better? I got to think about that. I'm going to go one day, I hope. My son said to me the other day, Dad, if you die in a firefight, I will cry, but I won't cry that much because I know you died doing what you wanted to do. Feeling the way you feel. I won't cry that much. Each of you has a gift. People say, what is my mission? Your mission is to do what you do best. Some of you are great readers. By the way, what I would suggest that you continue reading. The problem that we have among leftists and among activists is they don't read. Read. Read about the Wobblies. Read about the IWW. Read about the union movement in the United States. Read about it. Read about Puerto Rico. Some of you know nothing about Latino America. Yes, being black is one of the... Read the forms of blackness. Read what the Brazilians went through. Read what the Cubans went through. Read what Uruguay went through. In Argentina, they wiped out an entire group of black and Native American people. Wiped them out. So Argentina, I have no great love for it, but there's some great Argentinians I know. Folks, please read. Because those who don't read history are doomed to repeat it. I hope that you are reading everything you can about science, about physiology, about medicine. Because reading gives you a step up. And then take care of yourself. Martial arts is a wonderful way to start. It puts you in shape. So I leave it with that. My knees are bad. I gotta go back to martial arts. In the end, power is power. We could talk highfalutin thoughts and all that. Power is power, y'all. Decide that you don't want to be on the end of the stick where there is no power. If we're going to take the world, we're going to have to take it. It's not given to you. What did Du Bois say?
What was the line that you said about power, Sharif?
What Jimmy said, when...
Say it in the mic so I can hear it.
Yeah. When the power of love overcomes the love of power,
Right.
humanity will know peace. Right.
The power of love overcomes the love of power.
Right. And
Take that with you. When the power of love, can you say that? When the power of love
Takes over.
overcomes
Overcomes.
the love of power.
yeah, that was a profound.
That's key. When the power of love overcomes the love of power.
Be careful though. Every saying has its contradiction. It doesn't mean that you don't want to take power, because that's the way it happens. It just means contain yourself. Watch yourself. Make sure you have people around you who can tell you, Felipe, you're going too far. If you don't have friends who can tell you where it's at, who can be honest with you, you don't have a friend. What do I say? Oh, if you walk into a room and you're the smartest person in the room, you're in the wrong room. Go to another room and find someone who's smarter than you, who has read more than you. When I was a kid,
Listen, we may have to go overboard because we're living with a system that's not going to allow you to move a step without their permission. We had a doctor in America, some of you may have heard of him, named Dr. Sebi. Have you ever heard of Dr. Sebi? Raise your hand if you heard of Dr. Sebi. Ain't that nothing?
they killed him with
A
$10,000.
little black man who got international fame. Why? Because he was a healer. You didn't go to Dr. Sebi to get treatment for diabetes. You went to Dr. Sebi to get rid of diabetes. You didn't go to Dr. Sebi to get treatment for cancer. You went to Dr. Sebi to get rid of cancer. They put Dr. Sebi in jail in Brooklyn because they said he was practicing medicine without a license. I'm not a lawyer. My son happens to be a lawyer. If I was a lawyer, I would say, Your Honor, the charges you have my client upon are totally false. My client has never said that he was a doctor of medicine. He's a healer, and he uses herbs to heal people. They didn't present that. But what they did do is they opened the courtroom. Over 1,000 people, the guys will be on the stage and tell you, over 1,000 people showed up in that courtroom with diagnosis from the doctors saying what they had, and with proof that whatever they had, they didn't have it no more. And the judge, when he heard all that stuff, the only thing he did was say, get this man out of here, get him out of here, deport him, get him out of the country. They couldn't put him in jail. They got rid of him. Dr. Sebi is an example of what we all need to become. Some of you might be Christian, and you may love Jesus. I got no problem with that. They gave us a false Jesus. Jesus was not the complexion that they
He
gave.
wasn't blonde, that's the damn
He wasn't
truth.
white with blonde hair and blue eyes. That's bullshit. That's Tab Hunter. That's not Jesus.
You remember him?
Yeah, I remember
Yeah.
Tab Hunter. The fact is, that's bullshit. Jesus was not here to have his name plastered on churches, and you go inside a fucking church and pray to Jesus. Jesus would probably take a bomb and blow up those fucking churches.
Really?
Because Jesus, whenever my mother says, she asked me when she says, son, you've been living in Harlem for a while, and they got some very historical church in Harlem. I don't understand how come you haven't joined the church in Harlem. I said, Mommy, I remember a church in Harlem. What church? I said, I have a park right across the street from my house. And I go there, and that's the trees of my congregation. She said, well, I'm talking about people. I said, well, didn't God create the trees? I said, I talk to the trees. They talk back to me. They let me know what's happening. And I said, Mommy, besides that, I don't remember Jesus talking inside a temple. I don't remember Jesus having a place where he had people come and gather. Every time I heard when Jesus had to talk to people, he was outside.
He was on the streets, man.
He was on the street. He was at Mount Sinai.
He hooked up with the number runners, with the prostitutes. They got mad at him. Said, why are you hanging out with those horrible people?
And then he said,
those horrible people that he was looking to solve.
And he even said he was not, he said, I didn't heal that man. I spoke to that man and told him if he really wanted to, he could get up and walk.
Yes.
And he got up and he walked. I told the other guy they said he was blind from birth. I said, if you open up your eyes, you can see. So he says, all he really wanted to do was be an example for what each one of us could do. He wasn't trying to get no particular fame and fortune. Matter of fact, I don't think he ever passed a plate around and said, I just gave you some words of wisdom. That's the plate. I want some money. Just like Harriet Tubman. They got a debate right now whether or not they should put her on a $20 bill. I have blasted that bullshit. Harriet Tubman is going to the fucking segregated South to take some brothers and sisters off the plantation for some goddamn money. She said because she thought slavery was inhumane and she wanted her people to be free. Putting her on a dollar bill is a degradation. That is an insult on a $20 bill. If that's the case, Harriet, after she freed me and Baba and Felipe, she come back and said, listen, I freed y'all, I got y'all a job. Where's my commission? I don't believe Harriet ever said that. And she lived to be 93 years old. Going back and forth and back and forth and back and forth. Doing her work. Lived longer than anybody could imagine. You have got to do things like people say, it's got to come from your heart. They did a thing where they helped the people who had garbage problems in the neighborhood clean up the garbage. We got folks in America that have health issues. We need to have that worked out. There are certain issues that we need to address. Hip hop has all this beats and all the chants for all the words on the planet. Let's make words that are going to heal and help us grow and be together. Kendrick Lamar gave us a wonderful example of what you can do with hip hop. He fucked America up. Had Donald Trump standing there clapping. You know, this is patriotic. Oh, this looks nice. Had no idea that Samuel Jackson was doing exactly what Samuel Jackson does. He was playing the fucking Uncle Tom. He does that so well.
He did it in Django Unchained to the point I wanted to jump into the movie and stab him in his head.
Exactly.
I couldn't stand him because he was so good at it. Which brings me to the point, whatever you're good at, that's your mission. And whatever you are good at, some of you may be librarians, some of you may be writers, some of you may be poets, some of you may be politicians. Whatever you're good at, that's what you should be doing. That's your mission. And you have a proclivity for that. Do it, and do it to the best of your ability.
And we don't need to have another movement for that to happen. Each one of you must become a movement within yourself. We've had the movements, and the movements get co-opted, they get blasted. It's sad. Each one of us has to become. We don't need another Malcolm to come here and say what he's already said. He dropped it on us. He gave us the lessons. Take those lessons and internalize those lessons. You are now Malcolm. That's why I love Spike's movie. At the end of the movie, he had all these kids say, I am Malcolm X. I am Malcolm X. Remember that?
Yeah.
At the very end, he made it clear. If you were down with Martin Luther King, he lived and he died. And it just happened that both of those men died at the age of like 39 or 40. So they were only here for a little while. But they came and they dropped the knowledge that we need. You don't wish say, well, we ain't got no leader right now. You're a leader! Everyone in here is a leader. You must first lead yourself. And by example, you'll lead somebody else. We came here to Belgium and again we did our thing. And man, the love has been outrageous. Outrageous. We don't need to have a following of people following us around like we're the Pied Pipers. We said some things so hopefully that you can lead yourself to the place you want to be. You can liberate yourself.
Are you guys going into schools with this music, with this hip hop? Are you?
Yes.
Public schools? You need to get into the schools and give them this knowledge.
Yeah, I think we used to, but then because the public school system sometimes doesn't really allow for this message, we'd rather have them come over here because then they're immersed.
Everybody looking at TikTok.
What about after school programs? Are you doing after school programs?
Yeah, we have classes right now actually. So
In the school, I mean.
No, we don't.
No?
No.
Is that because you've been forced out?
No, we haven't been forced out, but it just doesn't really work because you're not allowed, or it doesn't feel like you can come there with your real intent. You have to conform too much. That's our experience.
All right.
This has been, this has been amazing. Thank you guys so much.
Thank you so much. Let me round it up a little. I want to do something with everybody because everybody looks
Yes, please.
so right. Everybody say free.
Free.
Grow.
Grow.
Misery.
Misery.
Down.
Down.
True.
True.
Sad.
Sad.
A lift.
A lift.
Here.
Here.
Now these are 8 words that come with a call and response. Normally when we do our show, we open up with this, and it's called the pledge. Of course, you know we're not pledging allegiance to the flag. And we're not saying that goddamn star-spangled banner. We're not doing none of that. But we do a pledge. And it's the only thing, with all the writings I've done in my life, it's the only thing I ever freestyle. And I freestyled because I did not pledge allegiance, and I was a guest speaker at the graduation, but I stood on the stage, and I stood next to the superintendent of schools, and the principal of the school was on my left side, and I stood up there. I wasn't trying to create a demonstration. I didn't do Colin Kaepernick. I didn't bend down on my knee. I was standing, but I didn't pledge and I didn't sing. And before I spoke, a young girl, a little girl, about 9 years old, says, "You didn't pledge allegiance to the flag." I said, "Ain't this a bitch?" And from the 2,000 people, she threw me under the bus. And I said, "No, I didn't pledge allegiance to that flag. I ain't never pledged allegiance to my people." And some of the teachers started to clap and they stopped real quick because they thought they might lose a check. Then I said, besides, I got a much better pledge than the Pledge of Allegiance. I didn't have shit. But the ancestors came to me, and I'm so grateful that my mind is not cluttered with a lot of bullshit. So I came up with a pledge. I'm going to say your words again. I don't want you to repeat, just kind of get them in your head. The call that I'm going to give you will give the proper response, which will be your one word. The only thing is that, and this is a hip-hop house, you've got to be in rhythm. And I know hip-hop is about rhythm. So if you're a falter, I'm going to fuck you up. I'm serious. Your words are free, grow, misery, down, true, sad, a lift, here. Now Baba usually plays the rhythm. He ain't got his drum. He can play on anything. He can play on the desk. He can put it on the chair, on the floor. He can do anything.
Be my guest.
No. I can't play like this. He likes to mess with me because I can't play good because I tried. And he always has to hold my hand.
We're gonna do this and see if we can do it, and it has to really come from our hearts. I want to be what I can be, to be proud, healthy and free. I want to say what I know to help my brothers and sisters grow. I want to feel good about me and blame no one for my
Misery.
But I'll be strong, turn it around. I want to go up, I'm not going down. I want to do what I can do to make all my dreams come true. Remember my past, good and bad, how I made it art, even when it was sad. Want to share whatever my gift, and when you're feeling low, I'll give you a lift. I want to live without fear. I know that I'm blessed for being here. I know that you're blessed for being here. I know that we're blessed for being here. I want to be what I can be, to be proud, healthy and free. Want to say what I know, help my brothers and sisters grow. I want to feel good about me and blame no one for my
Misery.
I'll be strong, turn it around. Wanna go up, I'm not going down. I want to do what I can do to make all my dreams come true. Remember my past, good and bad, how I made it art, even when it was sad. Want to share whatever I get, and when you're feeling low, I'll give you a lift. Want to live without fear, I know that I'm blessed for being here. Know that you're blessed for being here. Know that we're blessed for being here. Know that we are blessed.
Make sure you hug him.